We do want to begin, though, with the latest as it relates to your Halloween headlines. There's more than binging on candy and horror flicks to help get you in the Halloween spirit. From mummies to murder houses, Fox News' Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at some unique ways to celebrate this spooky season.
Halloween season has many folks busy stocking up on candy, pumpkins, and plenty of decorations. But for those seeking a thrill beyond horror films and trick-or-treating, there's a slew of spooky activities to indulge in, from the eerie to the educational.
How people are prepared for death tells you a lot about what society thinks should happen after you die.
Over at Chicago's Field Museum of Natural History, visitors are checking out the mummy exhibits. While mummies are often portrayed as monsters in movies, scientists say that they were real people and should be treated with respect.
It's important for these people to be remembered and to have their names spoken.
Staff have been conducting CAT scans of the remains to learn more about their pasts.
CT scans give us a fuller picture of not just the skeletal remains, but also the tissue, the organs.
But if touring museums isn't your speed this time of year, folks are also flocking to Fall River, Massachusetts to experience the Lizzie Borden House.
So in the early morning hours of August 4th, 1892, Lizzie Borden is accused of killing her father, Andrew Borden, a wealthy banker, and his wife, Lizzie's stepmother.
Lizzie Borden was accused but acquitted of the killings, which involved an axe.
What's really kept it going for so many years is that rhyme the Fall River Herald News made up. Lizzie Borden took an axe. She gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41.
The unresolved murders have been fueling people's fascination with the supernatural. Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Chris, thank you so much. And joining us live this morning to further discuss this year's Halloween, none other than consumer strategist Lisa Miller. Lisa, good morning. Happy Halloween to you. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Happy Halloween to you.
So, Lisa, first I want to ask you, how do you and your family plan to celebrate Halloween? We know it falls during an election season, so I'm interested to get your take also about the economic aspect of it.
Well, we'll definitely have our candy for the kiddos to stop by. But my fun fact is that my husband and I met at a Halloween party, at a costume party. So Halloween has always been a special day at our house. But for those of you that don't know, there's quite the history of how Halloween even started. So you have to go back thousands of years, 2,000 years to the Celtic era. And basically, it was the end of the harvest season in October. And there was this festival to basically bridge the gap between the harvest and the winter. But people were concerned about spirits. And so they had fires and festivals to protect themselves from the spirits that may come. But then fast forward to the 8th century, and that's when actually the Catholics created All Saints Day in November 1st. And then fast forward to about the 19th century, and that's when Halloween came to the States. But it was during that time in the English time period where little kids, they actually had what's called soul cakes, Janae. And what they did is they went door to door in the 12th century, door to door, to get soul cakes if they were to pray for the dead. And that was really the foundation of trick-or-treating in today's world. So it goes back way, many, many years, this whole tradition of Halloween.
I love how you wrap that, Lisa, because so many people celebrate the holiday in different ways. Maybe you're trick-or-treating. Maybe you're going to church for a trunk or treat. Maybe you're doing a Halloween party. So thank you so much for giving us that wide-scale view. I did mention that this Halloween falls during an election year, and I know you're a consumer strategist and you look at the economy in detail. Are you seeing people spending as much as they always do this Halloween, even though it falls during an election season?
Well, it'll blow your mind, truly. Okay. There is $11.6 billion expected to be spent on Halloween in the season. And if you think about it, in our neighborhoods, there's decorations, there's candy, there's costumes, but Halloween is big business. Now, yes, it is an election year, and the National Retail Federation is expecting it to be down a little bit, but it's still $11.6 billion. So that is a lot of celebrating going on today and over the last several weeks.
So what you're saying is they're still buying all of the candy in bulk so they can eat it while they're waiting in those long early voting lines. That's what they're doing.
Oh, that is so true. And I don't know if it's like many of the viewers out there, but sometimes I used to buy candy that was all the candy that I liked, and then I realized that's not such a good idea because then when you have all the leftovers, we end up eating it. And so I try to buy a little bit of everything this year, over the years, but I don't always buy my favorites because then that's bad for me. But I will say a couple of the favorite costumes that came in this season are, children's movies or even things like Beetlejuice, whether it's a kid or an adult. And that's what's really evolved over the years, where today, it used to be more of kids trick or treating. Well, now the adults are getting into it over the last several years and parties and big parties for Halloween. And you can find costumes from Beetlejuice, even, of course, my favorite movie, Inside Out, which, of course, they have a character named Joy. That's one of that is one of the big costumes, but celebrities, superheroes, doctors, and yes, you will find presidential candidate costumes this year.
Yes, I've already seen those trending on social media. We know, as you know, I'm sure some of the Halloween parties start the weekend before Halloween. So I've seen the costumes coming down my timeline left and right. But you did mention how older adults are getting into the Halloween spirit, not just kids. Look, I have my dog getting into the Halloween spirit. Baby Juno and I are dressing up this year. We're doing Monsters, Inc. So I got him a Sully costume, the little onesie to put on. And then I'm going to be Boo with my 2 ponytails. So that's how we're getting into the Halloween spirit.
Well, and that is so true because pets, I mean, we cannot forget the pets. It's really fun to see all, on social media, all the cats and the dogs and, and all their different costumes. And so that, again, it just makes it for a very joyful day. And, as I mentioned, there's the trick or treating, but, for some faiths, tomorrow is All Saints Day where they pray for the dead. And then you've got the, Dia de la Muerte. So it's just a lot going on. And so hopefully people will be safe and enjoy the season.
Glad you brought up Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So, Lisa, another thing I want to analyze is the candy, right? We know candy connoisseurs, some of them go and say they're getting the big bag for trick-or-treaters, and then their light is off. They're just sitting at home eating the candy themselves with their family, watching the scary movies. I like to watch Corpse Bride every Halloween. I just absolutely love that movie. Also, I just love animated film. But when it comes to candy, are you seeing a top, what are the top candies? Is it Snickers? Is it Twix? What is it?
It's, I do think some of the chocolate ones, obviously the Hershey's, the Snickers, the M&Ms, but Skittles, let's not forget Skittles. But again, one of my favorites, and it's not just because I wrote the book about joy, but I've always enjoyed Almond Joy, which is, or Mounds, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. But I did want to tell you one thing I just learned, Janae, is that, do you know the background of candy corn? Because, you either love it or you hate it. I happen to be one of the ones that love candy corn, but I didn't know the origin of it. And I found this online where candy corn, if you put the yellow side out and you stack it up, it actually looks like a corn on the cob. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I've seen that on social media that's the origin of the name candy corn, because you stack it up and it looks like an ear of corn.
Yeah, and I know every Halloween I see on X, formerly known as Twitter, the candy corn hate. Miss Lisa, we see people just saying how horrible that is. I love it. But then on the flip side, every Easter, I see people discussing how they hate the Peeps, those marshmallow candies.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually agree with them because there's just no flavor. There's no substance. But at least there's a little flavor with the candy corn, I think, depending on. Yeah.
I'm proud of it. I love I love that candy corn.
Me too. I'm right there with you. Well, look, Lisa, thank you so much for waking up bright and early. I know when I sent you that text yesterday, I was like, do me a solid, Lisa. Come on in and join us early. But you always do, and we always enjoy hearing from you, getting the historical aspect and, of course, the economy aspect as people are celebrating Halloween this year. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go?
Well, just as you know, I always say, find that joy in your day. So whether you're out there trick-or-treating or you're at home with the kids, enjoy the day. It's fun. And it's adorable when you see some of these kids' costumes. So have a good time and be safe.
You as well. Thank you so much, Lisa Miller. Always a pleasure. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you.